Welcome to Women of the Metaverse. I am Cheryl Laidlaw.
I am Angela Harkness. We have been and are still on a journey to discover the metaverse, Web 3.0, NFTs, and anything that we are required to know to join this world.
From this podcast, we will help you to unlock how the metaverse is going to impact your brand, your business, and even your personal life.
Join us as we take the mystery out of this new digital universe. Welcome to Women of the Metaverse. In this episode, we are talking about Gary Vaynerchuk's NFT collection, VeeFriends. If you are a small business, you should have heard of him. If you have not, then we would recommend you go and look him up. He has millions of pieces of content published by him and about him. We are going to talk about how Gary has used his NFT collection to build an even bigger community.
Yeah, he's a massive powerhouse, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, how long have we heard about him? Decades.
10, yeah. Well, he's not decades. I don't think he's been around that long. Yeah, about 15 years. Is it 20 years? Maybe it has.
Maybe.
I used to tweet with him when he had Wine
Yeah,
Library.
he used to respond to you.
He did.
Yeah. So he's really grown his business. So the reason why we're talking about him and we would suggest you go and have a look about him is because he just knows brands, doesn't he? He just understands brands.
Yeah.
He was doing social media way before anybody else, right?
Absolutely. And he's a bit of a Marmite character.
Yes, that's so true.
I've always been a fan.
Yeah. And it's a good thing that he's a bit Marmite because you can be objective with him. Some of the things you agree with, he says, some of the things you don't. I think the thing is he walks his walk. He definitely, He works really hard and he talks so much about social media and putting out content, and he puts out content.
Boy, does he put out content. He's also the first person to admit when he's wrong.
Yes. Yeah. So all we're saying is definitely go and check him out because there's a lot to learn from. He knows his stuff, definitely. He understands brands and he's gotten into this NFT world now and he definitely understands that. So go and check him out.
He's just growing businesses left, right and centre, isn't he?
Yeah,
Vaynerchuk, VaynerMedia, Vaynersport.
Vayner3 now as well.
Vayner3 now.
Yeah. So check him out anyway.
Yeah, so Gary became aware of cryptocurrency in 2014 when he did hours and hours of research. In fact, there are many really interesting videos of Gary talking about how he became interested in NFTs and how he decided what he was going to initially invest in. He purchased his first CryptoPunk NFT in January 2021. Since then, he has purchased countless NFTs, some of which have been profitable and some of them not so much. He was an early investor in the world of women, Bored Ape Yacht Clubs, and Doodles. But the main purpose of this episode is, as the title suggests, we're going to talk about Gary's NFT collection, VeeFriends. He created VeeFriends because he is passionate about community. He already has a large following, but through NFTs and smart contracts, he has seen a way to create a united and powerful community that will be even bigger. The initial drop, or Series 1, was released on May 11th, 2021, with 10,255 VeeFriend tokens. As part of this drop, 1,242 of the collection was held back for his own collection. They were known as Gary Originally Owned, or GOOs. But over time, Gary gave them to his community members. This first collection was made up of 268 characters that were drawn by Gary. Go check them out. Gary is no artist. Gary never let the lack of drawing skills stop him from producing his collection, and it just goes to show that you really don't have to be perfect. They are based on human traits and characteristics that he most admires, including the accountable ant, the decisive duck, and the tolerant tortoise. Angela, what do you make of Gary's artwork?
It's a doodle. It's a doodle. It is not brilliant, but I think it's really great to see that, because so many of the NFTs are really professionally created, and people like Yam Kakai from World of Women are artists. So
I think he done it as a point. I think he was making his point that it's
yes,
about the smart contracts attached to them and a bit of a nod to his own credibility within the industry.
yeah. I mean, he did hand draw them, which credit to him, but you don't have to be a brilliant artist to do that. I think that's one thing to take away from it.
Definitely.
So go check them out, because you'll see what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
If you see an 8-year-old's drawing, then that's them.
Then you'll know you're looking at a V friend.
Bless him.
As of this year, his Series 1 drop has generated about 49,000 ETH, which is nearly £80 million. Oh my God, all this money.
Goodness me.
Currently on OpenSea, the lowest price is about 5.2 ETH, which is around 8,900. And one of the highest selling was recorded at about 1,555,000. Gary offers something really quite unique with his range of NFTs, different to what we've already seen with the other ones that we talked about, World of Women and Bored Ape Yacht Club. And he offers different levels of membership. So by owning an original VeeFriend NFT, you immediately become part of the VeeFriends community, which we have talked about community a lot.
Hmm.
And you get a 3-year pass to VCon. And if you go to the library on the VeeFriends website, you can see all the characters. There are many characters, and each will have how many tokens that are attached to that NFT. So the tokens are the important part, like we've just talked about. So most of the NFTs, which are the common ones, have about 40 tokens, but there are then are another few that have a lot less, that maybe have 8 tokens or 5 tokens, and they're all kind of broken down because the background is a different color, or there's something unique to them that makes them rarer than the others. So go and have a look, because the website's really detailed and really interesting. So there are 555 gift goat tokens where you actually receive physical gifts, but then there are 108 tokens that are one-to-one access with Gary, and that could be playing basketball with him, or going fishing, or having a 90-minute brunch with Gary. And then there are another set of tokens where you actually get mentored by him. So there you can see now where the different range of tokens and what you can receive, how he's done that a lot differently to other projects. And as we said, you do then get this 3-year pass to VCon, which is the annual conference. So you get to talk about and listen about entrepreneurship, creativity, and the chance to network.
Yeah, that'd be a phenomenal room to be in, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. It would. I mean, especially if he talks, because he's
As long as
really a
Gary's there.
prolific public speaker. Yeah.
But
Wouldn't
he
you be
loves
pissed
it.
off
He
if you went
absolutely.
and yeah.
Gary wasn't there.
Could you, yeah, go in and Gary's not there. But still, I mean, it would be, you'd be in a room of all these people. So, okay. In August 2021, VeeFriends announced Book Games, which ties in with Gary's book, 12 and a half, leveraging the emotional ingredients necessary for business success. So that's quite a title and a half for a book, isn't
Absolutely.
it?
Isn't it just?
Yeah. Gary announced if you brought his books in multiples of 12, you would get one NFT book game token for every 12 you purchased. So
He
that's again,
he's brilliant like that. He's so
he is.
clever.
Yeah. Yeah. He's smart about the way he does things, because ever since he has been brought out books, I think he's got about 5 or 6 books
I think
that
he
he's
does.
published now, but he's always done it based on, right, instead of being paid, say he probably gets about 100 grand now for a speaking gig. Instead of paying me money, buy this many books and I'll come and speak.
Yeah.
So he's kind of doing the same now with
I mean,
his tokens.
I can remember a good 4 or 5 years ago, Gary sliding in my DMs and asking me and asking me
Yeah.
and asking me to purchase 10 of his books as a favor. I would
Yeah.
I assumed it was spam, but it was genuinely him asking me to purchase as a loyal
Yeah.
fan. I didn't.
Yeah. It's one way to get people to buy more books, but also it keeps them at the top of the like New York Times
Yeah.
bestseller list.
He probably knew that he
And
just had to ask, you know, 50 people to buy 10 books to keep them
yeah.
to keep them. Oh, it probably isn't 50, but he personally would contact people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's quite like that though, isn't he? He loves the DM.
He
He's
loves a
always telling
DM.
people to DM. They drive me nuts, but he loves a DM.
Mhm.
So in January 2022, Book Games actually dropped, which they are referring to as Layer 2 NFT project. I think it's important to remember that because there's going to be so many layers to
Oh, yes.
Gary's NFT collection. So 125,000 are burnable tokens, again, all drawn by Gary, and they depict 13 emotional characters that kind of make up the 12 and a half that he mentions in his book. And then on top of those, there are other special pieces of art. Again, I'm going to link the URL to the actual page on his website because it's really interesting to read how they work. But also, again, there's new characters, different characters, and they have different backgrounds and they have frames and they all mean different things. So
And they
we're
lay
not
it
going to
out
go
really
over them.
well. Yeah, they lay it out
They
really
do
well
lay
over
it
there.
out really
Yeah.
well. Yeah, because there's such a lot that's going on. So there are benefits to having these book games. And a game where he's been really clever is the series one led to book games, which then leads to and something else, which leads to something else. So he's kind of really thought about the path going through. So some of the things that you can do, for example, with the book games are you get other assets. So you can burn the tokens. They're burnable tokens. So what you actually do is give up the token to get the asset. So, for example, some of the things that you can get is you might get another NFT if you give up your token. And one of those NFTs could be a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT. It could be a World of Women NFT. Some of the other things you get are some of his actual trading cards. So you could get a very rare sports card. So actually, there's don't I burn this token and get something from it? Because am I burning something very valuable, or is what I'm getting back more valuable?
Right. So I was going to ask you, what are burnable tokens, Angela? But you've kind of explained that.
Yeah. But again, there's a lot more to it. What it does allow you to do and what it doesn't allow you to do. So for certain
So many
things,
levels, aren't there?
so many levels. And I was telling Cheryl when I was researching the podcast over the last few days, I was actually getting a bit anxious because I couldn't understand it. I was like, oh my god, I'm not understanding this, it's not going in. But it's because there's so many characters and there's so many layers and there's so many
And there's
options
so many
that you
mints
just
and there's
you just get a little bit confused by it. And then all of a sudden it sort of starts to click into place. I think he's got this in his head, this massive jigsaw that
Mm.
that he knows how it all looks at the end, whereas we're just looking at each piece. So there's a lot actually to these board games, but again, the website gives you a lot of information, how you can exchange them, how you get your assets, how you actually use the book tokens. So there is a lot more to them. Then again, 2 months after he announced the launch of book games, he then announced the launch of mini drops, which again is another series of NFTs, but a much smaller collection. But you could only have those if you own a certain type of Series 1 NFT. So much to
So
it.
much, so much. I mean, So it's also important to mention that the NFT intellectual property is owned by VeeFriends and not by
Yes.
the purchaser, as it were, unlike Bored Ape Yacht Club and World of Women. And I do wonder
Yeah.
why he's decided to keep the intellectual property rights.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, isn't it? Because we've had this conversation where we talked about you're almost relying on the asset then being valuable, the NFT being valuable. Whereas with Bored Ape Yacht Club, yeah, it's good to have a valuable NFT, but you can still take that IP and create something from it. So you can create other brands from your Bored Ape Yacht Club or from your World of Women. We could do that with
Hmm.
ours,
Hmm.
create something from it. So even potentially, if we were smart, even if World of Women went down in value, we could still create a lot of value from the brand we created, but from ours. So it's kind of an interesting one to
Yeah, to
see.
see what Gary's got up his sleeve for that.
Yeah,
I watched a video yesterday and he, in true Gary style, said, I'm gonna be goddamn Disney, man."
yeah.
So what
He's always a big thinker, always. So I think he really knows in his head what he wants to achieve with this, but he's keeping it quite close to his chest in what he's bringing out. But he's been quite prolific already with what he's dropped so far.
definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we all know about Gary's VeeFriends NFT collection. We need to talk about the next drop, or series two, as he calls it. In this drop, there are 251 characters, 236 from series one, and there are 15 new characters. So in total, on this drop, there are 55,555 NFTs. And again, go to the website and check it out.
Yeah. Because again, with this one, I think there's rules to it on
Yes.
there in terms of what you had purchased before, whether you then can buy a series two.
Yep,
So it's all very much gamification in this, isn't there? A
absolutely.
lot of layers to the game in
There's
this
a
one.
level that you can't purchase this particular one because you haven't got series one, and then you have to have a mini drop, and then you have to have something else. I mean,
Yeah.
to be honest with you, it was quite a mind-blowing project to
Yeah.
research, wasn't it? Because there's just
Yeah, it really was.
so
It took
many.
me, yeah, it took me hours to find out what a book game was because I kept saying, right, well, where's the game? What's the actual game? But the actual game was how many different things you can do with that NFT. So you can burn it, you can get another asset for it, you can mint for another NFT. You could sell the NFT. So that's the game that surrounded it. Because I was like, well, can you play something with your character? I couldn't find the answer until a little tiny piece in an article went, this is what it means. I was like, thank God.
Goodness
So
me.
yeah,
Well, look,
yeah.
if you're still with us, we applaud you.
Yes. Yes.
So the mint price on the series 2 was 0.335 ETH, which is about £460. I don't know about you, but this feels like a very reasonable price, and you can still pick one up for about £517. And after doing my research, I'm not going to lie, I wanted to run over to OpenSea and pick one up. But this,
FOMO.
right?
FOMO.
But this podcast is costing me enough money as it is. So enough about me. But in this drop, Gary's original hand-drawn characters are digitally designed and taken to the next level by creating 3D characters, new backgrounds, and a new collection of poses. It's important to mention, though, that Series 2 tokens do not give you access to VCon, but does come with a box of VeeFriends complete and collect trading cards when you mint the NFT. Well, that's been and gone now. So
Yeah.
when I
He
read
loves his cards
this,
though,
he
doesn't
loved his
he?
cards. But when I read this, I went straight over to eBay and found the cards there for sale for around £150. Gary has thought of everything.
Yeah.
I mean, uh, and most of them are being sold from America as well. I would love, to see if there's any floating around in the UK.
Yeah, I don't know. You like again, you don't really see. We talk about the UK market. You don't see it as much as when Americans talk about it. So it'd be interesting to see if there are videos out there of people, because you see loads of people on TikTok or Instagram opening their VeeFriend cars, don't you? I was like,
I
what are
haven't
these all
seen
about?
any. I haven't seen any of
Have you
that.
not? Oh, I've seen a
No.
load. Yeah.
Ah. So Gary talks about the long game, and in the future, he has big plans for his community, but with no roadmap for people to look at. Customers have to rely solely on Gary's reputation when investing in VeeFriends.
Yeah. This is interesting because the initial collection was always going to be successful because of his own personal brand. He's got such a worship at the church of following, doesn't he? His
He
following
really
is
does.
massive. And even people like you and I, where we like some of the things he says and we don't necessarily agree with all of it, we still have huge respect for him. But whilst his personal brand would have helped him be successful with this, he still is so genius. He has such unique ideas that he takes this stuff to the next level,
He's also
doesn't
got the
he?
balls to do it as well.
Yes.
I think even when he released his first NFTs and giving out his personal time, uh, he knew that he was going to fulfill, well, he had to fulfill the the promise in the smart contracts. But you definitely do need to have some balls to get behind it all and just go, right, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, especially with the art, because the art isn't great. He could
No,
have opened himself up to such a massive amount of criticism. But like you said at the beginning, there's an element of him proving you don't have to be brilliant at art. You don't have to have great artists. And there's a lot you can learn from what he did in this podcast. He obviously has the money to back himself and be able to generate as much as he has. But that element to creating an NFT and even just having a tiny token behind it is something any small business could do. If you have a book, you can create an NFT for that book and offer that token. You could offer your time in coaching. There's all sorts of little things that you can do. So we really recommend you have a look at this because you can learn a huge amount. You
yeah.
don't have to do it on the scale that he has done it.
Even if you check out Gary's videos on the advice that he gives other small business owners on how they can get into NFTs, he just gives out fantastic advice.
Yeah, he's very much of a futurist. His ideas, he's very forward thinking with his ideas. I think he got NFTs once he did the research. He understood that the back end to what an NFT can offer. So I think he really sees big things for these in the future. So
Definitely. And
well worth.
even though he hasn't got a roadmap, which is one of the things that if you ever do a um, research into NFTs and for investment purposes, the advice always given is check out the roadmap, check out the Discord, and
Yeah.
Gary hasn't got one, so it's all done all based on trust, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's based on his reputation and what he's talking about. So yeah, he's done things differently, but I think he moves the bar, doesn't he, higher
Definitely.
around what you can achieve.
Definitely. So we hope you've enjoyed this very detailed episode about VeeFriends. And if you have invested in this project, we would love to know which NFT you purchased. So join us next week for more metaverse insights. We'll see you then.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Women of the Metaverse.
You can find all information, links, and people we talked about in the show notes on our website.
If you have enjoyed this podcast, please comment and subscribe.
Join us again in the next episode as we continue this exciting metaverse journey.